the UFO phenomenon, but their internal investigation reveals the unthinkable. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades detain the biggest secrets on planet Earth. In the years right after World War II, UFO sighting rolled, but Soviet spies or Nazis testing Allied defenses and gathering intelligence.
That this could be Nazi technology that survived the war, and they were doing some kind of second push.
Public attitudes about all of this. Union had emerged. The Second World War had transitioned into the Cold War. It was a time of great it was a period of unprecedented confusion, uncertainty, and nerves.
We knew that Nazis had escaped.
Washington.
In June 1947, just before the infamous Roswell incident, formation at a speed he estimated to be 1,200 miles an hour.
Arnold claims the remote-controlled and man-made, or not of this world.
He was a pilot. He was a
pilot, so a very good witness.
His story has been really known in the field of ufology as that first case.
Not only did he describe the speed, but he went on to talk about a sort of jerky movement, and he said it was label for all of this.
But a newspaper catches on to Arnold's saucer description, and the term flying saucer.
A new term had been born, and this really was the beginning of the flying saucer age.
In 1947, at the
Force officially separates from the Army. It creates Project Sign, which becomes the first organization in the world.
Throughout the United States at a very high rate. So they knew the phenomena was real. They had to figure out what it was. And even though he failed and we got him, let's turn our sights to America and let's control those guys.
But as UFO sightings increase...
Well, maybe the Soviets got some too. So could some of these flying saucers be Soviet aircraft or even...
much more terrifying. Of sightings at an important U.S. Air Force base has the government on high alert. Unsealed case file.
Series of strange sightings at Muroc Air Force Base, now known as Edwards Air Force Base in California.
Spiral toward the horizon.
Some of the craft were described as simply light spheres or orbs in the sky, while others were the more...
A UFO, unsuccessfully for a while. The speeds and maneuvers were described as too great for him to even catch this thing.
But when the military themselves start seeing the same phenomena, they're seeing it over military installations, that's a problem.
Hugely significant.
Many inside the Air Force start to suspect that the unknown craft may be top secret American technology. Internal inquiries turn up nothing.
Now, eventually, that theory was discarded because after a certain...
One of the scientists that Project Sign brought aboard was Alfred Loading. His expertise would be instrumental to try and figure out what the...
What is it that we're dealing with here?
Loading and his colleagues are considered some of the greatest technological minds America has.
Level of aviation technology was. So when they looked at the UFO reports, they said, look, the speeds, back engineered, this isn't Soviet stuff, this isn't US domestic, this is above and beyond that. These scientists...
A commercial airliner narrowly escapes a mid-air collision with a UFO. But the Air Force did not. Of 1947, a wave of UFO sightings forces the government to investigate what is being witnessed in the 24th, 1948, Montgomery, Alabama. Chief Pilot Clarence Childs and co-pilot John Whited.
Easily recognized. He ends up tapping his co-pilot on the shoulder, telling him to take a look, and then they see this craft travel in an incredible...
Braced for impact, took evasive action, and this object passed rapidly along the side of the aircraft. This is a...
They knew that this was a very reliable case. They knew that the witnesses were very reliable themselves. The case truly showed how dangerous...
Lose by coming out with this sort of thing. In terms of credibility, this is about as good as it gets.
I think the military knew as the commercial airliner, that's a problem. that needs to be fixed.
But according to aeronautics engineer and Project Sign investigator,
but with extraterrestrials. And he became one of the first people to really consider what was in latest, put in people's minds for the first time the idea that we're dealing here with not just lights or
remains unidentified.
Later, when people involved in Project Bluebird,
Imaginable possibility.
if it isn't us, could it be that some of this is extraterrestrial in technology?
Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files.
Say, what are we dealing with here? And finally, they produced an assessment, an intelligence assessment.
To this day, the report has allegedly been seen by only a select few.
Nobody can find it.
Of a decades-long denial of the UFO phenomenon.
This was essentially the dawn of the military denial phase.
With investigating this phenomenon.
So this document, I think, is probably, if it exists, the most important piece of evidence.
It would be like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs saying, you know what, all this talk about UFOs, it's real. We're being visited.